Bai Lu responds to Joseph Zeng, and what she said has left fans speechless and questioning everything they thought they knew about their connection. And if you think you have seen shocking celebrity moments before, then stay with the story until the end, because what unfolds is something no one was prepared for, and you might just find yourself rethinking everything about love, loyalty, and timing by the time you finish reading. It started quietly, almost too quietly for something that would soon shake the entire fandom community to its core. A simple interaction that could have passed as just another casual moment between two stars suddenly became the center of attention when fans noticed a shift in tone. It was not loud or dramatic at first. It was subtle, a response, a pause, a choice of words that felt deeper than usual. And then came the moment that changed everything. During what seemed like a normal exchange, Joseph Zeng had said something that fans initially brushed off as playful. But those who had been following closely knew there was more beneath the surface. His words carried a kind of sincerity that felt different from his usual public persona. It was not just a joke. It was not just for entertainment. There was something real in the way he said it. And then all eyes turned to Bai Lu. For a brief moment, there was silence. Not literal silence, but the kind of pause that makes everything feel suspended. Fans were watching closely, waiting, hoping, and maybe even fearing what she would say next. Then she responded. And, in that single moment, everything shifted. She did not laugh it off.
She did not deflect.
She did not hide behind humor or change the subject. Instead, she said something that no one expected. Something that felt honest.
Direct.
Almost too real for a public setting. She said she was ready. Ready to marry him. At first, people thought they misheard it. Some replayed the moment again and again, trying to catch a different meaning hidden between the words. But there was no mistake. The message was clear. And the internet exploded almost instantly. Fans flooded comment sections trying to process what had just happened. Some were in shock. Others were overwhelmed with excitement. And a few were left completely speechless because this was not just another scripted moment or promotional interaction. This felt personal. It felt like a glimpse into something deeper that had been hidden for a long time. As clips of the moment began to spread, reactions poured in from every corner. People began analyzing every expression, every tone, every pause. They looked back at past interviews, past projects, past moments where the two had appeared together. Suddenly, everything felt different. Every smile carried new meaning. Every glance seemed intentional. Was this something that had been building quietly over time? Had there been signs that people missed? Or was this a spontaneous confession that even surprised them both? Behind the scenes, sources began to hint that their connection had always been strong, that there was a level of understanding between them that went beyond what the public could see. They were said to share a kind of comfort that is rare in an industry filled with constant pressure and scrutiny. What made this moment even more powerful was the timing. Both stars have been navigating demanding careers, intense schedules, and the expectations that come with being constantly in the spotlight. And yet, in the middle of all that chaos, something genuine seemed to have surfaced. For many fans, this was not just about a possible relationship. It was about witnessing something real in a space that often feels carefully controlled. It was about seeing vulnerability, honesty, and courage in a moment that could have easily been avoided. As the hours passed, discussions grew deeper. Some questioned whether it was truly serious. Others believed it was the most authentic thing they had seen in a long time. But one thing was undeniable.
People were invested.
Meanwhile, Joseph Zeng did not rush to respond again immediately. And that silence only added to the intensity. It left room for imagination, for speculation, for anticipation. Fans began to wonder what he would say next. Would he match her energy? Would he step forward with the same level of honesty? Or would he pull back and leave the moment as it was? And then there were those who looked at Bai Lu differently after that moment. Not just as an actress, but as someone who had the courage to speak openly in a situation where most would choose caution. It was a reminder that behind the fame and the spotlight there are real emotions and real decisions being made. The story did not end there. In fact, it only seemed to grow stronger. New clips emerged. Old interviews resurfaced. Fans began connecting dots that had never been connected before. It was as if a hidden story had suddenly come into focus. Some described it as a turning point. Others called it a bold move that could change everything. But regardless of how people interpreted it, no one could ignore it. Because moments like this do not happen often. Moments where the line between public and personal blurs in a way that feels completely unplanned. Moments that remind people why they become fans in the first place. Not just for the performances or the fame, but for the human connection behind it all. And now the question remains, what happens next? Will this lead to something real and lasting? Or will it remain as one unforgettable moment that left everyone wondering? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the world is watching. And this story is far from over. So, if you think this was the end, you might want to stay tuned. Because sometimes the most unexpected moments are just the beginning. Bai Lu and Joseph Zeng did not know that one moment would turn into something this big. And if you thought what you just read was intense, then stay with the story because what happens next changes everything and brings a conclusion no one was ready for. The reaction did not slow down. It only grew stronger. Within hours, clips of that moment were everywhere. Fans were replaying it, analyzing every word, every expression, every pause. Some believed it was a bold confession. Others thought it was a playful response taken too seriously. But the truth sat somewhere deeper, waiting to surface. Behind the scenes, things were no longer as calm as they appeared. The sudden attention brought pressure. Questions started coming in from media outlets, from management teams, from people who wanted clarity. What exactly did she mean? Was it real? Was it just a moment? Joseph Zeng remained quiet at first, and that silence spoke louder than anything else. Fans began to notice that he was more reserved than usual. His posts became less frequent. His tone felt different. It was as if he was thinking carefully about what to say next, knowing that whatever came out would shape the narrative completely. Then something unexpected happened. A short clip surfaced from a private backstage moment. It was not meant for the public, but somehow it found its way online. In the clip, Bai Lu was sitting quietly, away from the noise, away from the cameras. There was no performance, no script, just her and her thoughts. When someone asked her about what she said earlier, she did not laugh. She did not dismiss it. Instead, she looked down for a moment and then spoke in a tone that felt even more real than before. She said that sometimes people hide how they truly feel because of timing, because of expectations, because of fear. But in that moment, she chose honesty. That single statement shifted everything again. Now it was no longer just about what she said. It was about why she said it. Fans began to understand that this was not a random response. It was something that had been building quietly over time, a feeling that had stayed beneath the surface until it could not be held back anymore. The pressure reached its peak when Joseph Zeng finally broke his silence. His response came late at night. No dramatic announcement, no long explanation, just a simple message that carried more weight than anyone expected. He said that some connections are rare, and when you find them, you do not ignore them. That was it. No confirmation. No denial. But it was enough. Fans were left stunned again. But this time it felt different. It felt like the beginning of clarity instead of confusion. The pieces started coming together. The shared moments. The quiet support. The unspoken understanding that had always been there. And then came the turning point. A few days later, both Bai Lu and Joseph Zeng appeared together at a public event. Cameras were everywhere. The atmosphere was tense with anticipation. People were not just watching, they were waiting. Would they address it? Would they avoid it? Would they act like nothing happened? But what unfolded was something no one expected. They did not give a speech. They did not answer direct questions. Instead, they simply stood next to each other, calm, composed, and present. There was no distance between them, no awkwardness, just a quiet understanding that spoke louder than any words. At one point, their eyes met, and in that brief second, everything felt clear. Not confirmed, not denied, but understood. It was not about proving anything to the world. It was about something real that did not need validation from outside voices. And in that moment, fans realized something important. This was never about a headline or a viral clip. It was about timing. It was about two people navigating their own paths, their own careers, their own emotions, and finding something meaningful in the middle of it all. The story did not end with a dramatic announcement or a final answer. It ended with a feeling that something genuine existed, whether it would grow into something more or remain as a powerful chapter in their lives. And sometimes that is enough. Because not every story needs a perfect ending to be unforgettable. Some stories stay with you because of what they make you feel, not because of how they end. And as the noise slowly faded and the attention shifted, one thing remained clear. What happened between Bai Lu and Joseph Zeng was not just a moment. It was something people would remember for a long time. So now the question is not whether it was real or not. The question is what you believe. And sometimes that is where the real story begins.